How are you, my little hag?
Doing good, doing good. Getting over this horrible cold.
You must buy the merch, matarakan.shop, buy the merch. Today's message was brought to you by Early Morning Voice Matara.
My audio's been a little weird lately.
Ooh, yesterday when Giga and I were yapping, we think there was like a weird disconnect or like a weird internet bug where like the other person would not hear the person start talking. Maybe it's a
That
Discord
happened
bug.
to me and Callie. We did a stream the other day and she was like, I think there's a lag.
I really like the song y'all did together, Villain Vibes.
Thank you. That was,
It was
very
a while
fun.
ago. Mhm.
Yeah,
How did that come
it was
to start?
I had written that song for my Rise of the Monarch album, and the song was actually done. I was chatting with Callie because we had followed each other on Twitter, and I was like, hey, I actually have this original song that I just finished. Here's the mix. I actually think it's too short of a song, and I think it would actually really benefit from like a rap.
A rap part, yeah.
And then yeah, we added a little
love
rap
that.
part to it. She had me on her album for Dance Past Midnight. That was really fun.
When you said you had the mix and stuff, do you also do the music mix?
I hire someone to do the mixing. I'm so particular that I would spend 4,000 hours on a mix.
I believe it.
So it's very nice to have a team with different strengths and skills.
Do you tend to use the same people over and over that you already trust?
I do like a team because then I'm like, you guys rocked this. Another one.
Yeah. Think
Again.
also again. They get to know your particularities and things like that, like what makes you, what makes your voice stand out, and working with the same people really allows for a real partnership to kind of blossom, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. I was telling them like that my mom's in town right now too, which has been like so sad because I haven't been able to spend a lot of time with her.
Because you don't want to get her
nice.
sick.
Yeah, but it's also been nice. She's like, do you want anything? And I'm like, can you make me some soup?
Do you like your soup? So I forget the word for it. The little noodle where it kind of like is shaped like a flower. I think it's like pastis or something like that. Oh, pastina. Thank you to our Italians in the stream.
Thank you. I'm a fake Italian.
Are you actually of Italian? What is it?
Yeah.
Ethnicity, I think is the word.
Yeah, my mom's 50.
Sorry.
My mom's 50%. So
Oh, okay. I thought you were like just my mom's 50, which I was like, well, how? I was like, wait.
No. My grandpa was full Italian. I was never taught Italian.
I'm scared if you find this out because you're a hard worker, but you could teach yourself Italian. And I know that you would actually self-teach yourself Italian in 2 years. That's the kind of woman she is.
Okay, chat. Duolingo Italian with me. I actually never learned a language in school. I actually had a language waiver growing up.
Wait, how does that work?
I had really bad dyslexia growing up.
Oh.
And so I couldn't keep up with the rest of the class. So I pretty much just got a waiver, which I just never had to take a language. And instead, I would take like another English or another history. So I got really good at English and histories.
I feel like for your voice acting job, a lot of it is reading a script, right? And for singing, a lot of it is learning your song.
There'll be times where like I'll get a word that I like just don't use in my daily. Like I'm like, I know that what that word is. I know what it means. I just can't really remember how to pronounce it. And I'll just ask. I'll be like, hey, this isn't a word I use every day. Can you remind me how to pronounce that?
If you really could, given the time to study a language, what language do you think would help you the most? Probably Japanese for the voice acting.
Yeah, 100%. And like for like the lyrics, like adapting that I do and stuff.
What is your typical, like getting into role, you kind of practice a voice or a phrase for certain characters?
In my experience, they'll save a couple lines from like your very first session. And you just sit there and you just like repeat. And sometimes if like the voice is very different from my own, I will just like repeat that line. There's some pretty funny ones for like Jingliu from Honkai. She'll be like, unworthy. And it's just so funny because it's just me in the booth with absolute silence just going, unworthy a million times over and over. I mean, a lot of the characters that I do voice are kind of me. I get typecast a lot as like the girl next door and stuff, and I love doing them because I understand them so well.
The best.
And so sometimes I'll just like say their name to get in the character. For Maureen, I'll go Maureen Kitagawa. I'll always say her name a certain way.
My southern accent is awful, but every time to get into it, I'd be like, hi, I'm Miley Cyrus. Obviously, it doesn't sound anything southern, but it would help me.
I love it. I did a bit with chat where I was like, let's play a game called How Would This Character Sneeze? Would they have like a cute little like achoo sneeze? Would they have like a like a dad sneeze?
Yup, that's your next bow collab is how would they snore?
How would this VTuber snore? How would you snore?
So I grind my teeth
Or is it
most of the time as if I'm really, really drunk. I breathe in a little bit through my mouth. I'm like, I'm slurping Prosecco in my sleep. First memory that comes to mind when I say phenomenal convention memory.
Man, walking around like my very first AX, I think. That was like 2000. 8, 7 was like my first anime expo. And I had only been to like small ones in Florida and stuff. So going to like that very first like huge convention was incredible. I have like maybe 500 plushies that I have individually slabbed and crucified onto a pegboard with wire. There was an anime expo where I just walked around and I went, I'll get that one and that one and that one and that one. And I walked out of that convention with bags. And I just remember there was a kid that looked at me like I was God.
Yeah, he was like, I want to be her when I grow up.
Wow. Like just the biggest, like open mouth, big eyes. And I was like, yeah.
This actually sort of ties in with another thing I wanted to ask you. So for anybody who doesn't know, you were the OG like cover artist. If anybody has ever listened to an English cover of an anime opening, you have done it. When did you first realize that you could make money off of doing covers?
I first started doing covers in 2006, 2007. I was 13, 14. And I didn't make money for many, many years because I just didn't know that I could. There wasn't a lot of people doing it. There wasn't a lot of information out. And I was just kind of doing it for fun. I didn't really have products that I thought were worth selling in the beginning. There was a company way back in the day called Louder, Loudr. And they were kind of like the indie licensing company. And now they're Sound Drop, and I use them still to this day.
How did you move from singing to voice acting? Was voice acting something you've always wanted to try, or is it by meeting other singers who are like, hey, you should try this?
I was actually doing voice acting at the same time, just like online, doing indie stuff. And I had met some other like inspiring voice actors or voice actors online through that. And those actors were like, moving to Dallas and auditioning for Funimation at the time, which is now Crunchyroll.
Yeah, I remember.
I would love to try that. So I took some classes. It was a longer process than singing, so it took me longer to kind of like get through those doors. You have to live where the work is, unfortunately, because back then there wasn't remote recording. All the time people are like, I want to be a voice actor. And I'm like, where do you live? They're like, Ohio. I'm like, you can do cool stuff online, but like it's very unrealistic to like be able to like fly for jobs. And sometimes they want to call you in last minute and stuff.
Also, online, you're going to be competing against everybody else online. In the Dallas recording studio, you're really only competing with everybody else who can come to the Dallas recording studio. So that automatically like narrows you down a lot, right?
Oh, yeah.
I want to talk about auditions because this is something I didn't really know. If you book 10% of your stuff, you're killing it.
Oh, if you book 1% of your stuff, you're killing it.
You're killing it. Like you will audition for so much. How do you deal with that rejection?
Well, that's a great question. I think you have to get this mentality that not getting an audition is not losing. You have already won by getting that audition or getting that call back or getting to go into the studio and arrange the thing. That is a huge win, a huge gain in your favor. You're being heard by the directors. There's been so many times where I've auditioned for a project, didn't book it, and then in a year they
called you back
in and they're like, hey, we got your audition a year ago, we loved it, it wasn't right for that character at the time, but this character came around and we thought of you because we liked your audition. It happens all of the time. So I always just say, like, even if you're not right for it, just give it your best shot.
I think I can make a slight parallel with corpo VTubing. A lot of times it's like if you don't get let in, it's really just they have certain characters in mind, they have certain things, and they're really looking for that like 99.999% match, and maybe you match them at 95. Let somebody else match them at 99. And as you said, if you do a great audition, if you're kind, if you're sweet, if you're memorable, you will very often get called back for other jobs or other castings.
100%.
What made you decide to start VTubing?
I was doing content for so long and I was kind of like stagnating. I was getting to the point where I was like, I kind of don't love this anymore. I feel like I've kind of hit a wall. Like maybe I'll just retire. Maybe I'll do something else. I know VTubing existed before this, but what got on my radar was the Hollow Girls when the first EN debuted. I was like, oh my God, I can be an anime girl on the internet, is what I always say.
Yeah.
Yes, please sign me up. Growing up, like ever since I was 14, all my free time was dedicated to doing covers. Yeah. So I never kind of like really had time to play games. Streaming kind of gave me that outlet to like play games and also connect with like an audience that I already had. And it just felt like a natural progression. What about you though? What got you into VTubing?
The woman whose body I live inside has been a streamer for a really long time. I specifically remember watching as Hafu started streaming. She would just play with her viewers. And I remember being like, so what? I can just find people to game with. So that was the initial start of me streaming, was to find people to game with. Maybe like a month or two in, I got let go from my restaurant job. And I talked about it on stream. And this was like pre-sub gifting, pre-anything on PayPal. I don't know what had happened. I think I had received like 15,000 US dollars, which was more money than I had ever seen in my life. It was just people telling me like, go full time, stream, like keep this money, na.
So
And I then ended up getting partnered right after. But then even at that point, I still saw it as something fleeting because back then, like you genuinely at that time had people come in who would give you $5,000 on PayPal. But then you had people refunding it. So, and this is another thing about Twitch that people don't know. Right now, Twitch has variety streaming, but back then, people watched you if you were good. Back then, time slots really mattered where I would wake up and I would stream from 3 a.m. Pacific to about 8 a.m., which was 5 hours, but it was like before every other big streamer was on. In that time slot, I actually managed to get up, I think, to like 800 viewers some days. So you guys can carbon date it. It was when Witcher 3 was coming out. So I stopped streaming Hearthstone at like 3 a.m. and I started streaming The Witcher 3 at like 2 p.m. Pacific. And I went from 800 viewers to 40. I went to 40.
How that different?
Switch time slots and I'm no longer playing the esport game, right? But despite having 30 viewers, I quickly developed an audience that was sticking around. They came back and then slowly from that, build it up. And then quarantine started. I remember at that time when quarantine started, I actually quit streaming, I think for 6 months. I remember when I was on my hiatus, I was seeing clips of Coco and I was really enjoying, and actually had a serious talk with my family. I said, give me 1 year and then I promise you, like, if it doesn't work, I will go to university or I will get a job in the industry and like, that's it. I've never thought that I was somebody creative because I thought that creativity was drawing and singing. But now I realize it is creative to like yap and it is.
Forms. Yeah.
So now that I feel I've had this opportunity, I want to make sure that I do everything possible to keep it. Actually was ready to debut in September. I just chickened out. I wasn't ready. I ended up debuting in December. So maybe like 6 months after were the auditions for Hollywood. I really do not regret everything I've learned. I think I'm so grateful for the lessons. I'm so grateful for everything. And I'm so happy my audience has stuck with me. It kind of goes to show that like just because something starts off a little bit tepid doesn't mean that you won't grow into it and you won't find your wings.
I always say this, I'm like, don't be afraid to make mistakes because I'm here because I failed so many times. My college degree is in graphic design and if that had really worked out, I'd be doing graphic design. But before that, I had gotten a full ride to college to do English. I didn't like it, and so I dropped out of that as well. If I had been successful, if everything had gone perfect, I would be doing that now and not doing what I'm doing. And I love what I'm doing now.
If you could just imagine yourself booking any role, do you have a dream role or a dream movie or a dream something that you do?
Oh,
or a
yes.
dream game? Talk to me.
Oh, yeah. I would love to voice Toad.
I am shocked and appalled. What?
Wow! Let's go! Here we go! Here we go! Wow! Wee! Wow! Mario!
I believe in you and I support you.
Thank you.
Is there any other dream roles you have?
No, just that one.
She's like, I don't need a plan B. I got plan A.